Hey guys, welcome to You the Boss podcast, episode 67. I'm your host, Pam, and today we're going to be talking about media overconsumption and mental health. Before I get started on this episode, I do want to say that I am not a mental health professional. I am not a specialized therapist. I am not a counselor of any form. If you are facing any issues with your mental health, any challenges with your mental health, I want to recommend that you connect with someone in your community, someone that you know, seek out therapy. And I mention this because what we're going to be talking about today is not just mental health, but mental health is very important, which is the reason that I'm doing this episode. And I don't want you to stop here when it comes to the resources. In this episode, we're going to explore how our constant digital consumption from doom scrolling the news, reels, social media, the different streaming services, billboards, how that is wearing down on our mental health. And I'm going to quote some sources and put them in the show notes about what science says about overstimulation, about stress and sleep, and how social media and the consumption of media is linked to anxiety and to FOMO and the overstimulation. And most importantly, in this episode, I want to give you the tools and give you back that power to reclaim your peace of mind. So first things first, what is media overconsumption? Over the weekend, I was scrolling, ironically, on social media, and someone shared a post in their stories, and I also shared it in mine. And the post says, we have normalized overconsumption, listening to podcasts while we walk, scrolling reels on the toilet, listening to music while we cook, watching a show on Netflix while we eat. It's as if there is no breathing space for your mind. You're constantly trying to fill the void, the stillness, and yet here you are complaining about feeling groggy and demotivated. And when I shared this post, I also made the mention to say that so many people message me and they say, I don't have time to read. I don't have the capacity to sit and read. I drive so much for work. I don't make time for it. It basically boils down to, I mentioned that so many people talk about how they don't have time to read and what actually having a physical book does for you. And they're somehow always caught up with the latest thing on Netflix, Hulu, Prime, whatever. Overconsumption of media looks like smartphones. It looks like social media. It looks like the news. It looks like the radio. It looks like the streaming services. There was an article, which again I will be sharing in the show notes, by Neiman Lab, where they did a study where social media has overtaken TV as Americans' primary news source. So basically, whenever you're looking for something that happened in the news, you do not go to a news source. You go to social media. And this is causing a very big media burnout. It's causing so much anxiety. It's causing mental fatigue, sleep disruption, low self-esteem, chronic stress, overstimulation, not being able to put your finger on what it is that is bothering you so much constantly and just has you so on edge. And in this article, they're literally telling us like, yeah, it's linked to this. And there's a lot of different things that the science community has outlined. The American Psychological Association, the APA, they have in a 2023 report, they talked about the stress that's linked to digital media. Consuming these different negative attributes from things, it triggers the fight or flight response in the brain. It makes it harder for you to feel grounded. It is also linked to the increased use of social media has the addictive behavior. It's constantly checking things. It's the fear of missing out. It's seeing other people travel and you feeling to yourself like, oh my gosh, I should be traveling more. How are these people doing it? And while that's a real comparison thing, which we've done here on the podcast, we've talked about comparison being the thief of joy, but it is also causing now, in addition to everything else, it's just causing so much stress and an addiction of sorts. It's disrupting sleep. You know, you use your phone late at night and it's reducing the melatonin and sleep quality. An article in Frontiers in Psychiatry quoted, it's making your brain produce less melatonin, which heightens your anxiety. It heightens your depression. And Stanford did a study about the consistent consumption of media and how this is leading to literally making it worse for us to pay attention and impacting our memories. It's causing a cognitive depletion. As you guys know, I had a baby in the last 14 months, and one of the big things that has become a topic amongst every mother in my life is mom brain. Oh, it happens. There is a chemical imbalance and you just forget things. My memory hasn't been the same since I had kids, etc., etc. This is a real thing. I'm not here to take away from that. There is a lot of hormonal and chemicals that happens to the female brain, to the woman's brain when she gives birth and has her child, that is linked to those hormones. And there's gray matter in your brain. That does happen. That is a real thing. But in addition to that, there is such an impact of the media that is causing this cognitive depletion in our brains. And it's incredible to note that a lot of women who have expressed having this quote unquote mom brain are also in some fashion or another connected to the consistent scrolling. Maybe it's not on their phones. Maybe it's on the streaming apps. Maybe it's on the podcast telling you how to be a better mom. And it's almost like we've forgotten how important stillness and mindfulness is and why it's important. The media consumption that we have, like literally driving on the highway and looking at the ads that are consistently on these electric billboards now, it's stealing from us from being present. When you are mindful, when you are present, it helps you reduce anxiety. It helps improve your focus. It strengthens your ability to emotionally self-regulate. And it helps you actually in being able to buffer against digital overstimulation. In 2018, this study by Gala, it showed that adolescents with higher mindfulness levels were less reactive to negative online content. That means that even down to our teenagers now, those that were less exposed to so much of the media things, and when I say media, I'm not just talking about news, they are less reactive when they're not as exposed. They're less reactive to the negative online content because they're able to regulate themselves. I do want to take a pause here and mention that I know that I've said media a lot, and I know that I've said the news a lot, and I've also said social media a lot. I am not here to make this a doom and gloom episode, make this a doom and gloom about what technology is doing to our brains. Technology is a wonderful tool. It helps businesses, it helps us stay connected globally, it helps us to have the ability that has never been had before to be able to go online, search for something, and get the knowledge of it. These are all good things. My purpose behind this episode is to bring you the steps to help you combat that overstimulation. I recently had a conversation with a really good friend of mine, and she said to me that she discovered that she got in the car the last couple of times and she was in complete silence for a few minutes. There wasn't the radio, her kids weren't in the back seat, so she didn't have to like feel the need to fill it with noise. Like she was just in the car in silence. And she said it has impacted my mental health so much. And it really got me thinking, where I was like, yeah, girl, because it's quiet. You don't have the constant of everything else playing in the background. You're not listening. You're literally in the silence. And this is so important for us because from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed, you are in some fashion or another consuming media, consuming sounds, consuming knowledge, whether it's useless or not. You're constantly consuming Love Island, Love is Blind, The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, 90 Day Fiance, the HGTV Fixer Uppers. Like, these are all constant. And we need to get back to understand how important it is for us to reclaim our mental stillness. So, number one, I want you to set boundaries with technology. Create tech-free zones, whether that's your bedroom, your dining room. For me, for example, our table, whether that's with family at anyone else's house or at a restaurant, when the food hits the table, that's a phone-free zone. We started doing this a couple years ago. We just wanted to connect more, and now it's just like we don't use phones at the table unless someone calls and it's an emergency. We don't use phones at the table. Create those tech-free zones. Schedule check-in times for the news or for social media. I know this is very difficult for all of us. I'm not expecting you to turn over and do this overnight. This is an ongoing growth process. But if you're someone who has fallen into the consistent checking of the news because you want to keep up, because this is the life that we're in, the news are constantly changing, I'm here to tell you, number one, set 2 times of the day that you do that. Do it at, let's say, 10 a.m. and do it at 6 p.m. and then just turn it off, 15 minutes each. The reason I say that is because that still keeps you in the quote unquote no and helps you schedule those check-ins. I promise you that if the world is ending, someone will call you to tell you. If it is something so urgent, someone's going to call you or text you to tell you it. Number 2, practice mindful consumption. Before you go scrolling, ask yourself, what am I looking for right now? Am I looking to connect? Am I looking for information? Or am I looking to just be distracted? This is on a social media platform, but I have to say, you have to feel the same about what it is that you're watching on the streaming services or what you're even listening to. It's so easy to get wrapped up in all of the media standforms, and it's not to say that you're gonna live a perfect off the grid life. That's just not realistic. But ask yourself, why do you need something playing in the background at all times? Ask yourself that. Ask yourself, is something bringing you connection, information, or distraction? On social media or even in what you're watching or listening to, follow creators, follow accounts that uplift rather than agitate what it is that you have or what it is that you're looking for. This is important because you have to be mindful of this consumption. You have to be mindful of every single thing that you input into your brain. Number 3, engage in daily stillness practices. Whether that's trying a guided meditation, whether that's just taking 5 minutes to literally breathe between tasks, or journal 1 sentence per day about how the media made you feel, about what you watched today, what you listened to today. I want you to take that 5 to 10 minutes and really be intentional about this stillness. Number 4, reclaim your sleep routine. This one is a big one for me. I have to say I'm actively practicing it. It's not perfect on a day-to-day, but turning off screens 1 hour before bed. If you are able to have glasses with blue light filters or blue light blocking on your glasses, don't read on your phone, which I'm a little guilty of. I won't lie to you. But don't read on your phone. Replace it with a physical book. Grab a physical book. I know that's amazing. As someone who owns a Kindle, I absolutely love my Kindle. Grab a book. If you spend 10 or 15 minutes watching the news before bed or reading a business article, replace it with a book. See how that works out for you in the next couple of weeks. Number 5, get back to the offline world. Spend time outside. I know that that's not always possible here in the Northeast, but studies show that 20 minutes outside lowers your cortisol, which, by the way, is the stress hormone. Do one activity daily that's called like an analog activity. So go draw something on a piece of paper with a pen. Play an instrument. Do a paper Sudoku. Have a conversation with someone at the store, one-on-one, face-to-face. Spend that time so that you can start to see the effects of how important mindfulness is. Number 6, conduct a weekly digital audit. Go over your screen time report. I know that that's not always foolproof, and sometimes they're not even that accurate because you can't get screen time on your TV. But ask yourself, what gave me energy this week versus what drained me? On the social media perspective, remove or mute accounts that just induce comparison or negativity. On a streaming perspective, like, what did you get out of watching 87 hours of Sons of Anarchy, which I'm currently watching? Again, I'm not here to tell you that I'm perfect. I'm here to be transparent with you and say that we are an ever growing person. But remove those accounts, remove what those things cost to you, because you want to reclaim that. You want to reclaim what it is to be in control of the media consumption. There are so many things that have limitations and things that we don't know yet. Most studies in this field, they're not giving us, they're just showing correlation. They're not giving us the cause. Sometimes screen time on your phone is just not reliable. And global studies are needed for us to be able to have long-term effects on these different things. So I want to challenge you to be a critical consumer of the different media. I want you to research more about what it is that you're consuming and how it impacts you. I want to end this episode by quoting something, and that quote is, "The cost of staying constantly connected is often disconnection from yourself." Try one of the things this week. Try unplugging more. Try, maybe you don't turn the TV off during the day because you really do need the background noise. So maybe just go for a 20-minute silent walk. Take your kids outside, walk for 20 minutes without your phone, without listening to something. Just go outside for 20 minutes. And I want you to pay attention to what that does to your mood. I want you to pay attention to what that does to your focus and what that does for you to sleep. Before we end this episode, I want to encourage you to leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcast. We are on all streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. Leave us a 5-star review. We definitely appreciate it. And as always, thank you for listening. Come back again next week for another episode of You the Boss podcast.